Fellow heroes and Force users of all ages, hello there, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by my friend and fellow nerf herder, Alyssa Simmons.
Hello!
Today, we are reviewing and discussing the Disney Plus Marvel series, Echo. And by God, we're Marvel fans!
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
We finally did it.
We did it.
I mean, we're doing it.
It's happening.
I'm speaking in the past tense, but we haven't done it quite yet. But we're talking about it. We're finally talking about Echo.
In the process of doing it. Yeah.
In the process. Oh, man, I'm so excited. Finally. Because we have opinions, and we've got potentially varying opinions. I know we sort of briefly talked about it, but I know we have varying opinions, but I think that generally speaking, we probably have more similar opinions than you think.
Yeah, that sounds like a good description of where we usually fall on things.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's ever been anything, at least that we've covered on the podcast, where
we literally agreed on nothing.
Yeah, where one person absolutely was like, I would die and bleed for this show. And the other person was like, it can go throw itself into a dumpster. I don't think that we've ever had
bleeding. First of all, can you describe why you're in a villain lair right now? This is for those of you that are listening on the podcast and not watching the YouTube, Alyssa is currently in her evil lair, calculating her lesbian takeover of the world.
Yes, and all lesbian takeovers are worked on in Walnut Creek, California.
Obviously.
Yeah, I am on a little mini tour with Mystic Pizza the musical. So if you happen to be in the Bay Area, come see it. We're at the Leisure Center.
See Mystic Pizza
for another week and a half, and then we go to Folsom, California, which is right outside Sacramento. That's all I got.
All of the best places to go on vacation.
Yes, they've been at the top of my bucket list for years. I'm so glad I'm finally going here.
That would be amazing, though,
nice,
if we actually had listeners from there.
Oh, that would be super dope. If for some reason that is the case, comment on it, and also don't murder me.
Yeah, that would be swell. Maybe you shouldn't say which hotel you're at.
Room
just
number.
To be safe. No.
I'm driving the rental car. That's a
Yikes.
Yeah. So sorry if, like me, you might have feelings about when things sound good on a podcast, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're not listening today. Maybe you're reading subtitles or whatnot. And
yeah.
I suppose that kind of just gets us right into talking about Echo.
Yeah, right. What a transition.
I'm just going right for it.
Yeah, so okay? I don't know. What's that?
Is that okay?
That's
to just
really
start
okay.
Talking about it right away.
Yes, because we've been we've already waited more than almost a couple months.
Far too long. Yeah,
it is time. It is time. So, generally speaking, should we just go into general thoughts first?
Let's do generals.
Why don't you start?
Generally, I went in because my friend Daniel, who is also
who's that
right now, that guy.
What are you pointing fingers at?
I'm in my villain lair. I'm a totally different person.
I love that you're doing your generals, but also giving my generals in your generals.
Yeah, I am. So because he texted both Dino and I and was like, I don't know, you guys. I am having a hard time watching this show. I was
before I was even done finishing it, I was man, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, that's strange. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a character it wasn't a character that after we were introduced to her in Hawkeye that I was like,
Oh man, she needs her own show.
I mean, like, I was like stoked because that's cool. Because I think
Yeah,
the character of Maya and Alaqua are like incredibly badass. So I'm like,
totally.
yeah, sure, why not?
There is a story to be told for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Or
But
so we thought.
because Daniel kind of like that was the first ish review of the show. I was like, I don't know. I guess so. I guess I want to
We'll
thank
see.
you for
I was gonna say,
lowering
you
my
should
expectations before I even watched it.
Lowered expectations. You're welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
But anyways,
That's why I did it, honestly.
that of course that was your intention.
It was absolutely my intention.
My general thoughts are that I really, really enjoyed the show. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I wasn't expecting to because of what Daniel said or because of
Yeah.
what I said about like, yeah, sure, we can watch a show about her. But I don't know what I was thinking the show would be about.
What was I thinking?
But I wasn't thinking that it was going to be about.
You weren't thinking, period.
I wasn't
Thank
thinking
you. Thank you
at all. I wasn't thinking that it was going to be about generational power / trauma.
No, that was a surprise for me too. For sure.
And that is a topic that I find incredibly fascinating.
Me too.
And the few television shows or musicals that I've seen that have kind of delved into that idea, I've just it's something that really resonates with me. So
yeah,
I
that's sort of like passing along like history through your DNA.
Right.
Not just history, but like actual like power. That's cool.
And I was waiting after that had kind of been set up. I know I'm just getting slightly less out of generals right now, but once that
this is great.
Once that had been set up and I saw the different titles of the episodes, I was like, oh, this show is about how her ancestors quite literally echo through her in the way that she moves and communicates and lives in the world. And
there's a wordplay.
Yeah, I was just like, I really like that. And they didn't really spell that out,
which is, I think, good because you could get into that sort of ultra cheese department.
The only scene where they, where like the title of the show is said is in a really touching scene where she gets to see her mom again,
right towards the end.
And it's in the very last episode of the whole series, and her mom essentially says, that don't think of what has happened before or even like what you're going through now as weakness. Think of it as the ability to almost draw from the trauma, which is an interesting idea because I think a lot of times with like trauma in particular, it's like, how can you like heal from it and then like never think or talk or feel about it again?
Yeah.
Where like what her ancestors went through quite literally made her into the being that she is. And in not a weak way, in a powerful and quite thrilling way. So those are my generals.
Well, and it's funny because and this goes back to what I said at the very beginning of our episode, that I had a feeling that we were going to agree on like a lot of aspects, and I think that the parts of the show that you clung to and really liked, I also liked, and I was really hoping that they would lean into that more. But I felt, and maybe this was just my perspective of how I was watching it, and maybe it was just because I was so distracted. But I think generally speaking, her relationship with Fisk um, was it just felt it felt it felt very it felt very surface level. It felt like it was like I could see and I understand that this is like from the comics, so it's already been written, so they're just putting in there what's in the comics, and that's great. But something tells me that, because I mean I can't say because I haven't read those particular comics, but I feel like it was written better, and it probably felt more motivated and believable. I just I didn't. And part of it, I'm sure, is just because there's numerous reasons why I think that is. And maybe we can get that when we're out of the general's territory. But I think that generally, there was a lot about the show that I definitely enjoyed, especially just the sense of inclusivity of the show, like showing us really, a type of storytelling we don't get to see ever.
Oh yeah, I mean this is actually the very first superhero show, movie, anything
that's led by a deaf person.
Not only led, but even just like featuring
a
deaf
totally
indigenous amputee. Like
it's kind of like a lot all into one.
Yeah, I was like, if they make Maya queer in some capacity,
oh my god, it'll be over. I mean, why not? Why not? But
yeah, I see what you're saying about the Fisk relationship. I did find myself having a difficult time completely going there, and I think
just like believing it and trying to care. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like,
and I always, because like, and you're the same way. You always are, try to be glass half full, like give everything the benefit of the doubt.
Definitely.
And for me, I was like, oh, well, maybe just because it's such a short time, they didn't feel like they had the ability, like as far as like episode count. But
I get that that's a reason, but not an excuse.
But I also, but what I was gonna say is it's not an excuse, because as we saw with What If, where those each of those episodes were essentially one-off stories. Yes, some of them carried into the
20
others,
minutes long.
But like we were talking about last week with the Hela and the 10 Rings episode, like we saw her full entire character like arc in a way that we've never seen it before, and even in that short 20-minute period we still felt all the things. So
I mean, you can argue that like at least in that particular instance, that character is a character that at least most of the people that are watching that show are already familiar with and know where she's come from and what she's capable of.
So my question for you about Fisk is like, do you think it was difficult for you to completely buy this relationship with Fisk and Maya because of how you know him in Daredevil?
Yes.
Because of how you know this
that
character?
is very, very much a big reason why. Yeah.
So I think the reason that I was more able to do it is because I
didn't
barely watched any Daredevil. I watched like the first like 3 or 4 episodes.
And there's the rub. I think that we I think we figured that out. I'm pretty sure that's kind of the crux on which my enjoyment of the show kind of sits. I mean, there were other things that were a little like, for instance, I just in general I wish they had leaned more into her heritage and her ancestors and like what that did for her and does for her. And I mean, I think that maybe it was supposed to be a tease and we were supposed to make us want more, but honestly by the end of it I was like I didn't feel like I did want more, which sucks.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think that the idea of it, which is probably why they weren't too heavy-handed with her family relationship, is purely because the show, for me, and you could obviously feel a different way, the show was about her figuring out...
What was it about, Alyssa? What was it about? Please tell me.
I'm so tired. The show was about her making the decision whether, like, what kind of family she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, she was kind of like there were like two families in the show that she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
vacillating
So
between for
like,
sure.
and the complication with like,
Well, maybe three, like
her,
her legit family, her chosen family, and the spooky like crime family.
yeah, all the Fisk people.
The
Um,
Fisks.
so I think that like the sort of idea of like, her dad being his, 1 foot in the family from, is it Oklahoma where they are?
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma, and then like New York City and his like the crime mob people. Maggie.
Oh,
Um
I believe my neighbor has come and is going
that's
to
okay.
make her start buffing at the door.
That's all right. So she was kind of operating, particularly after her dad passed and everything, with really only like 1 foot in one family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she felt incredibly abandoned, and rightfully
Yeah.
so, by her grandma, by all of those people, for all of the reasons. But like,
Totally.
so this idea of like, okay, well, now my new family are these people. It's not really like a meaningful emotional relationship, but at least I know that like they have my back,
Yeah,
and I have
sure.
their back.
Yeah, because he was obviously like he was preying on
Yes.
that vulnerability in her. Like he's like, oh, and like I'll be there for you, wink, wink.
Right. And I guess
Fisk. I mean,
yes. So my question for you,
and honestly, like on paper, all of that, like on paper, that makes, and of course, it was on paper because it was in the comics.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
believable. But the way that it was portrayed in the show didn't do it for me. Like if I didn't like know, I just it's getting me from
So
A to B was really really tough.
I understand that, yeah. For the Fisk relationship, do you think that he
Well,
really
first of all,
did?
when we talk about Fisk, in case anybody out there like isn't like on the web and all talking about Marvel news and everything. Most recently, when that show came out, it was pretty much announced at that same time that all of the Netflix Marvel series for the most part
Are
have been
considered
deemed canon.
Mhm.
But specifically Daredevil, because that's the one that is mostly in question, or that relates to this show. Because Daredevil actually was in the show for a second.
Yeah, for a little hot sec.
For a little hot sec. But yes, specifically Fisk. And the time frame of that show would have been before Echo. And I assumedly pre-blip. Before the
Yes.
Thanos snap.
Uh-huh.
So, it's been a number of years, but the idea is that this, like, all these flashbacks we've been getting with Echo and Fisk in the show would have happened before Daredevil, the show.
Yes.
Yes. And assumedly Echo would have existed in that world with him, and to Fisk, this girl, Maya, is like very very special to him. So, and I know it's just like it's a plot hole, and I know that they're trying to like wedge it in and make it make sense, but
with that, I'm going to remind
so
you. I'm going to remind you. Yes, I understand wanting to timeline wise do all of that, but this is our very first spotlight series, right?
So yeah, could you go like lean into that, because I do want to talk about that, and like I'm curious to me it feels.
So
to me, it feels like the spot. Yeah, you go.
I think that the important thing to think about with the Spotlight series is like, yes, of course, this is considered canon. It's considered Marvel canon within the MCU.
Yeah.
But I do think that I think that we are seeing in this first spotlight situation, we are seeing maybe the idea that like we can't emotionally and physically do what we've been doing with Marvel for the past
And connecting all the dots.
15, 20 years, you know? Because
That's yeah.
and I understand, like, yes, like you can canonically be like, okay, well, that doesn't quite like totally work for me because Maya would have been around with the whole during the Daredevil series, which we know. And how does that work? And why wouldn't she have been involved? I mean, you also like he could have sent her to be working in Tokyo for him or something.
Yeah,
you know, like
Madripoor or something, yeah.
There's a billion different like reasons.
There's another story
could,
that could be told, yeah,
that
where
could
she
make
was
sense.
sure.
But
and maybe that'll be told in the new Daredevil show, maybe.
Yeah,
or,
quite possibly. I think that it's a good.
I doubt it though.
It's a good starting lesson though to just be like, okay, yes, it's canon.
We noticed.
But this series is meant to be a completely on its own thing.
Yes.
Yes, we saw, you know, we have Kingpin, we have Daredevil in this, like those are characters that we've known before.
I think I'm going to argue back then, because like if that is the case, then why even add Fisk in the first place? He got shot in the face. That could have been the end of their relationship, and they could have been like, okay, we're done, moving on. And now we're going to do this amazing new story in Oklahoma where she's, you know, maybe even dragged in by a different crime thing or something. I don't know. It just like it felt
so much of her
Fisk was not necessary.
Story,
and
I mean, so much of her comic story revolves around him. So I think that's why they wanted to do that.
And I get it. Well, I also understand too is that, I mean, especially since the way it ended and like the little teaser that they did, that he's now going to be like Mayor Fisk, coming up soon-ish, or at least he's going to start running for mayor. The fact that it just felt like they were kind of telling two different stories in this. Like they were telling, you know, Maya's story and like introducing her family and her heritage and.
Yeah.
But then at the same time,
I think that's why
like,
they didn't do like a post credits like about her, because
right. Yeah. Which I think it detracted from her storytelling, and I'm getting to the end of my thought.
That's okay.
The other story that they were telling was like this like redemption arc of Fisk. You know, where she's like trying to make him, you know, sort of forgive and forget about like, you know, the
abuse from his childhood and killing his dad.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You know, by the end of it, he's like, "What did you do to me?" And yeah, it's I don't maybe I mean maybe I'm assuming they're playing the long game. I don't know why they're trying to humanize Fisk after we've you know, we've had so long with him in Daredevil, and you know it's a different side. If it's a different side of Fisk that I wasn't necessarily ready for, I guess. But and also I did, but it doesn't even that aside, it just felt like it was wedged into her show, even though like you said, he's very involved in her story in the comics. But I'd have to go back into the research and find out, like post him being shot in the face by her.
Yeah.
Like how much, like she's, you know, does she go back and forth with him in the comics after that too?
I don't know the answer to that. But
yeah, I'm not really 100% sure too. But yeah, all of it, and
I guess I have a follow-up question for you, and that is,
do it.
Do you think that
no?
That's it. No. Do you think that Fisk like actually does love and care for Maya, or was she just another
That's
pawn
the thing.
to him.
I don't know,
don't know.
because of the way it was directed. It was and written. It just you could not. I
I think
couldn't
that
put
I
my finger on
liked
it,
that
and
though,
it
because
annoyed me.
he is a sociopath. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
he
you're
for
not wrong,
me
and
that
and
kind of
love is in the
relationship.
eyes of the beholder, and she might, like he might actually think that he loves her, but like
Sure.
on our outside looking in, we're going like that's not what love is. But whatever.
Well, and like people that are sociopaths and like narcissists,
Mm-hmm.
even though they like say that they love and they do in their capacity, but like
In their own way.
in their own special way, but they can't, they like quite literally can't, like, even though, yes, he's like, I love Maya, she still is something for him to use.
Yeah, totally.
Like
A pawn.
she still is a way for him to get whatever he wants, because that's
He benefits.
that's the only
he
way
benefits
that
greatly by
he-
keeping her in his life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I found that actually what bothered you about, like, I can't figure out exactly what it is. Like, it's ambiguous to me. I liked that because
Mm-hmm.
I think that a sociopath narcissist like Kingpin Fisk would have relationships like that.
Yeah, probably. No, yeah, you're not wrong. And I guess maybe that doesn't necessarily it doesn't need to be spoon-fed to people to understand, but
Yeah, it just didn't ultimately like hook you. You weren't like
didn't
weren't
ultimately hook
there.
me, and it felt like and I guess just ultimately maybe it felt rushed and wedged in. And I think, and I from what I understand, we were supposed to get more episodes than we did or end up getting in this series, which I think shows, and also the fact that they released it all at once as opposed to one episode at a
Week by
time.
week.
I think might have been a mistake as well, but I think that they did it on purpose because or at least, unfortunately, in my mind, at least the way they may have not attempted to do this on purpose, but it gives what's the word?
Illusion.
It gives the illusion. Is that what you said?
Appearance.
Appearance.
Illusion.
Yeah, it gives the appearance, the illusion that that Disney was trying to like just put it out all at the same time, and then like people will watch it and then they won't talk about it in 2 weeks, and then we're gonna be like, clean our hands of it and be done with it. Like almost like they were just like trying to like, okay, moving on.
I hope
yeah,
they didn't
which
feel that way, because I think that there are.
I hope so too, but it's weird that they pushed it through so fast.
Yeah,
because I don't feel like we were in a hurry. There wasn't anything that came out right afterwards that they needed
that they
to
were
like
we
make
need to
room
have
for.
that be. Yeah, that makes sense.
It just felt weird. It felt weird and rushed.
Yeah.
And I
don't know what their decision.
It almost to the point where it felt purposeful, but I don't know. That's just conspiracy theory of mine, but
could be, could not. I mean, who knows? One thing that I thought was super cool that they used on this set, because obviously the character Fisk doesn't speak ASL.
Oh, right.
Doesn't
yes.
sign. And so Alaqua had this idea to just put like a little like vibrational device. I don't even know what they use, like a little like teeny tiny pager or something.
Okay.
On her, and her interpreter, whenever Vincent D'Onofrio finished his lines, they would push the button so she would know to start signing.
That's rad.
To start signing her lines.
Cool.
But in an interview with Jimmy Fallon, she said that in the super emotional scenes that they had together, she would forget that it was on. So it would vibrate, and it would like startle her, because she was so, I mean, she got to act with truly one of the greats. So
totally.
Yeah,
I mean, his Fisk in Daredevil is like some of the best. He's an excellent.
He's a crazy good actor. But
yeah,
I thought that was really, really amazing that they came up with something that could help her in the process, in the shooting process. And and now deaf actors will be able to use that moving
Because
forward.
is that like a fairly new technique?
Oh,
that
it had
they've
never
used,
it had
kinda?
never been done before. She
Oh, it's
had
brand
the
new.
idea. Yeah, she had the Alaqua had the idea. She was like, could we
That's
just like
phenomenal.
yeah, she was just like, if I had my phone on me or something where I could just get like a buzz, like a text message buzz,
Yeah,
then I would know that he's finished his line and I can do my lines.
go.
Yeah.
That's rad.
So
Yeah,
yeah, really really cool that
is
is
a
now
cool.
that's
I mean,
now
and I
available for
yeah, I
deaf
think
actors.
yeah, and that I do feel like this show. I think at the hopefully at the very best, like opened a lot of windows and doors for just actors like her.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I was gonna say, wait, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something.
I don't know.
Oh, I think another, yeah, I don't know. It was just there, and we've talked about this about numerous like of the newer Marvel titles, especially on Disney Plus. That there's a fair amount of like convenient writing that happens, and where it just feels like, oh, they did that just because they needed to save time and the money or whatever it was. But I think that it was pretty blaringly obvious towards the end, like in the I think it was the finale episode, like the finale fight, where they're at the powwow and
Yes.
the like all of the Fisk like cronies get there in their big white van, and like the guy just like runs it over in a big truck. It's
Monster
like,
truck.
well, I guess that takes care of that problem. But like, does it though?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like some interesting convenient things that were happening that was like, it just there were, and maybe it was just because of the mood I was already in from watching the rest of the show. I was kind of like, and unfortunately my arms were more crossed towards the end, like, and I think I was like looking for reasons to not like it and I'm an open-minded person, and I'm like, I don't know why I was like, but I because truly there were parts of the show that I freaking adored, like the like the very opening of the show. I legit like I stopped the show. I stopped the show just to make sure that I hadn't like clicked on the wrong show. I was like, wait, this can't be Echo. Like what is like, it was so unusual, and I was like, oh, this is like okay, cool. And I kept watching and I was like, whoa, cool. And yeah, and like I was hoping that they would like lean more into more of that. And it's funny too, and I think, oh yeah, we talked about in our What If episode, because literally directly after this was over, I went and watched, I was in the middle of What If. I hadn't finished it yet, so I was like, okay, it's time to finish What If. And the next episode happened to be the episode with oh god, what's her character's name? Oh god, I'm forgetting.
I'll pull it up for you.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna find it faster than me, I think.
Probably.
What if
this was episode boop boop boop, episode 6? What if Kahori reshaped the world?
Yes, Kahori. Oh my god, yes. I literally, it would just happen to be that episode that I watched right afterwards, and I know it's like a completely different vibe because in Echo we're trying to tell us like a believable like street side story, not this like whimsical like magical whatever fairy tale.
Although we did have a lot of that in Echo too, with like
there was a little bit, and I think that like because they gave me a taste, and I was like, I want more of that.
Yeah, that
it was neat.
Yeah, the way that they showed Chafa like coming out of the ground, and then like all of the like basically like the, I guess, the godlike material shedding off of her to be
I
like
think it was
in
so
the mortal
cool.
realm. I really liked that. Like the image of that looked really dope.
It's just stuff like that makes you want to like, it makes you want to like run to the computer and like go on Google and be like, okay, what the hell have I just seen? Like, you know what I mean? It just like the little tastes of that, like that got me excited, but then, and then we just got into, and unfortunately, like the other things, like the Fisk relationship and some other issues with the writing just kind of were so distracting that it like unfortunately for me, it prevented me from enjoying the rest of it as much as I probably should have.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, that happens. And it's okay. And that's just my opinion. And I don't think that that's the opinion of everybody out there. That being said, I believe let's go back. Let's go back. The old IMDb, which, we can't really always trust, because people are awful. And,
true.
yeah. And oftentimes people, go on there and they they like purposefully bomb it, to like make us, but they're getting better about like filtering out those things. So it's a little more accurate than it probably used to be. But, the episodes ranged anywhere between 7.2 being the highest, which was the opening episode.
Okay.
And then going to 6.0, which was the last episode, which honestly I would kind of agree with. It progressively got like less interesting as it went along for me. So I kind of tend to agree with because I would give it like somewhere in the high 6s to like the low 7s for me. Okay. If I were gonna like a sensible like 2.8 tauntauns to like 3 tauntauns, max 3 tauntauns. Because I would say there were parts of it that like I would give it a 4 tauntaun, but it was only like specific points. Also like the way it was like filmed and stuff, I thought was like fun and interesting and different than what we're used to in the MCU. Like the framing of shots and certain things, just like the overall look and aesthetic of like their town in Oklahoma. Like that vibe. But yeah, I don't know. But how many tauntauns would you give it?
I think I would give it
70 billion.
A gajil. I think that I would give it. We do them out of 5, right? I always forget if we do out of 5. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we decided that, but it is.
It's like the 5-star system,
Yeah.
I think that I would give it like a 3.7.
7 million. Oh, 3.7.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think 3.7. I think also I wasn't, like I said at the beginning, like I wasn't expecting. It's not that I wasn't expecting much. I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna watch this show. I had like a day off. I watched it all right in a row.
Yeah. Has Dino watched any of it yet?
Honestly,
I don't know if I got that.
I don't think he has.
I know.
I don't think he has. And we were maybe going to have our friend Luke Monday, who's been a guest Tauntaun a couple of times.
He also loved it.
But he also loved this show. And
we didn't really get into the nitty gritty of talking about it because when he said like I loved it, I was like, oh, you did, oh, and I but we didn't get to. I don't even think he knows my like
you guys didn't
critical
share
opinion
details about it.
But yeah, since we didn't get into the thick of it, I don't really know if he has any critical opinions of it or not. But yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, I also thought that
Luke, if you're listening to this, you'll have to.
Luke, write in the comments your review.
How many tauntauns?
I watched it, and everyone else can watch it as well. It's on the Marvel Studios Instagram. There's a really cool video with the stunt coordinator, who I'm not going to remember his name right now because I'm terrible.
You're so
just
terrible.
Look it up really quick.
But I'm on here too.
He did shot by shot showing where they swiped from the actor to the stunt actor.
Oh,
in the Daredevil fight scene in episode 1. And which was dope. Really, really cool and really just shows you how incredibly creative the choreographers and the editors are to make it look
Yeah, I remember specifically that scene was like
so
very
great.
cool choreography. Yeah, it was dope.
Where is it?
Sound
Where's
department,
his
special
name?
effects, visual effects. Oh my god, there's so many people in
Okay,
visual effects. Stunt performance, stunts. Jury duty. Oh, fight coordinator?
Yeah, that's probably
Mike Wilson.
All right.
Was it that guy?
Maybe.
Oh wait, no, there's a few of them. There's a few.
Yeah, I mean
fight
that
choreographer.
yeah, I got
fight choreographer /
let me just
assistant.
look for
Christopher
that.
Troy.
I'm not gonna remember it. Let me just look on the Instagram real quick.
On the Instagram.
On the Instagram. But yeah, really, really interesting. And Alaqua like wanted to do a lot of stuff that made their lives a lot easier. Like certain like tucks and rolls and things that like generally most actors would be like, no, I want my stunt double to do it.
Yeah.
But she wanted to do it. So she just like really threw herself into the experience, which is
good for her.
dope.
Fucking awesome.
Where is
she seems very
that?
badass. There's
Yeah.
a lot of badassery going on.
Correct.
Well, while you're looking that
Stunt
up,
coordinator Mark. I finally found it. Mark Sizak.
Oh,
or
Mark
Czak.
Czak.
But yeah, really, really cool video. It's maybe like 10 posts in. So everybody,
I love it behind the scenes. Is it on Disney Plus
perhaps
now?
I will share that to our Instagram so you have access.
Well, how
away.
convenient. And that's encouraging. What's it called? Engagement. There you go.
I was like,
that's how you get them. That's how you do it.
All right. Well,
in case anybody was actually wondering, too, also on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah, I was going to say we usually like to give both the scores. What's the other one?
Yeah, just a little more well-rounded. It seems they were pretty much in agreement. It sits right at 70% for the. They said the blurb says Maya Lopez's ruthless behavior in New York City catches up with her in her hometown. Wait, no, that's not a review. That's just a
synopsis.
That's a synopsis. Okay, well, who cares? The audience score was a 60%, which
all right,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the enjoyment of the show probably is all over the map for a lot of people. Like some people, I'm sure, like really, really love it, and which goes to show that there's something for everybody
totally.
In the MCU these days. Like
and just like you mentioned earlier, like a show like this, any show that has lots of diversity in it gives people an opportunity to be seen, heard, and felt while watching things and consuming content, so it's like,
which is so important.
Yeah, it really is. And like the fact that this exists even more now is amazing.
Yes. And when it's especially when it's like done right and written well and like tells a poignant story, like it can be a very, very powerful tool.
Yeah. And I do,
but I really do
appreciate
hope
Marvel using lots of indigenous writers on the show and directors and consulting.
It really feels like they tried to do it right
from the Choctaw tribe to make sure that this all really felt and was authentic, because the last thing you want to do is like
piss anybody off.
Well, the last thing you want to do is like do what like mostly is done in like musical theater, where it's like, look at this incredibly diverse story, and it's like all straight white men writing, directing, producing, all of the things, and then you're like,
yep. You're like,
hey. I mean, I'm glad that you.
I guess it's not nothing.
Yeah, but can we use people that perhaps have gone through those life experiences, or
that would be better. Yeah. So I don't know, there's probably more that we could say about it, but I think think you kind of get the picture. I mean, where I guess going forward, do you see them making a season 2, or do you think that like we've told her story, now she's just going to be a part of everybody else's story?
I don't think so, purely because they called this a mini series. They didn't.
Oh, is that legit?
Yeah, they didn't call this season 1 of Echo. They called this.
Well, I think I think Loki wasn't originally like
was
slated
considered
as
a miniseries.
Well, I don't remember if it was considered a miniseries.
I don't think it was considered
per se,
a
but
miniseries,
I don't think they ever said like this is going to be season 1 of a series of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Maya. I think we will see her again.
Yeah, they're not gonna waste this character. This character is too.
Oh, I also want to do like a big shout out to the costuming department. I loved the costume
screaming.
The costumes.
Oh, like her the one that she finally got from her mom.
Her final costume that her uniform that her grandma made.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah, I just
cool
loved like
details.
The stamping into the leather. Like that was so beautiful and specific. Yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of her. I think we'll be seeing her definitely around. I don't particularly think that they'll make a season 2, but that's just my thought on it. What about you?
I mean, if they do, it just I hope they if they have a really good story to tell, and then why not?
Yeah,
why not? But I think I'm more on board with you. I think that she's going to become part of the greater whole story.
Yeah, for sure.
It's my guess.
Sure. Some other Marvel-ish news, I guess, that we'll share before leaving.
That's some marvelous news.
Marvel-ish is what I said, not marvelous.
Oh, well.
Marvel-ish.
Yes, and
yes, we got a Deadpool trailer, which we
got a Deadpool trailer.
Very excited about.
Oh my god, which is currently, I think it broke the record for most views in one day.
Yeah. We got an official release date for Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
July 20th,
and a full cast.
July 25th,
well, not a full cast, but at least
somewhat
of
a
the
cast,
family.
Yeah, July 25th, 2025. Fantastic Four will be coming our way. And
I'm happy with the casting too. I think it was it's some good, like, great actors.
Agreed. We've got the X-Men 97 premiering. I'm
very excited about that
onto Disney Plus on March 20th.
That trailer looked dope.
So excited about that. And Marvel adjacent, because it's Marvel-Sony, Madam Web is out. It's not doing well. It has a terrible Tomatoes score. I think it's like 13 or something.
Is it 13 now? Yeah, I think it was 14 the last time I looked, but
it's
wow.
really low.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, I'm it's tough to it's just it's all the rage on TikTok nowadays. That everybody is just like, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. They say that it's worse than Morbius, which is, that is saying
Are you
a lot.
serious? People are saying it's worse than Morbius?
Yeah, numerous people have said this. It's just, it's the same writers, ? Which also, to me, I'm like, you know how bad Morbius went.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's do it again.
Well, I think I'm going to go see it next week.
It sounds, yeah. And I think that, all this bad press could potentially do good for it. Because if it was like somewhere in the middle where it was just kind of meh and it wasn't, but since it's like severely bad, it might get like a, the crowd that's just like, let's go for the ha-has and the memes.
Sure.
But yeah, sure. It's
but I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to like prejudge it, because like people were vicious.
Remember the last time you prejudged something, you end up really liking it, because Echo was a good show for you.
Yeah, that's right. Because like people were vicious about Wonder Woman 1984, and I really liked it.
I definitely didn't like hate it like some people did, but it didn't. It was no near as good as
Well,
the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk all day about how comic book.
I could do something.
I could. Oh, filtered.
That was my.
I am.
Job.
I am
Job. The position has been filled.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, but men like to get comic book men who consume comic books and comic book properties tend to get really huffy about female-driven shows and movies.
That's true. Because we all hate women.
Yeah, that's Daniel.
We hate them so much.
But I mean, it's just, yeah. I'm like, I could talk about this for many, many minutes,
Millennials.
But I will just say that I am going to go into Madam Web with no expectations, but an open-hearted mind, open butt.
I very, very much looking forward to you coming back and be like, well, nope, I hate women now. They're all.
No one hates women more than lesbians. So honestly,
that's right. Getting a divorce. I don't like losing.
No, I'm going to go see it. I don't know if we'll talk about it on this show, but I'm going to go see it, and maybe I'll just do like a solo little teeny review on Instagram.
That'd be cute. I would love that. I do. I'm contemplating going to see it, but I mean, in this economy, money's tight, and I don't know if I want to spend money on a 13%. But we'll see. I
have Movie Pass, so it's basically free.
Oh, that's smart. I don't have these new fandangled things.
You should get Movie Pass. I feel like you'd use it.
You're probably right. What a fool.
Idiot. Yeah, so lots of also really fun nerdy stuff coming out. We've got
Bad Batch is next.
Bad Batch is coming out next week. The first 3 episodes. And Dune Part 2.
Oh movie, man, I'm so excited about that.
March 1st. Yeah, so that's all I know.
That's all we ever knew.
All right. Well, are you good? Are you ready to say goodbye to the people?
Say goodbye to the pain of the past.
All right. Well, this is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
May the force be with you. Always.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.